Are there any audience comments that are not part of tonight's regular meeting? Hearing none, and there isn't any old business, we'll move right on to new business with the recommendation of the Altman Subdivision Plan Number 1 at 120 Elm Grove Drive.
All right, well, on September 21st, 2023, Township staff received a subdivision application from Lee and Sandra Altman for the Altman Subdivision Plan Number 1 located at 120 Elm Grove Drive. The property is a 1.063 acre parcel that was laid out in the late 1940s as part of the proposed lot plan for Leander Needs, a 26 lot subdivision with access to Thompsonville Road. Though the property is not in an intersection, it is still defined as a corner lot pursuant to the zoning code. A single-family dwelling and associated concrete patio, paths, and asphalt driveway are located on the eastern side of the property. A path connects the concrete patio to an accessory shed on the western side of the property. The Pierce Township Sanitary Authority sewer line and associated easement run along the eastern side of the property. The applicant proposes to divide the property into a western Lot 9A and an eastern Lot 9B. The existing single-family dwelling and associated concrete patio, paths, and asphalt driveway will be located on Lot 9B. The accessory shed located on proposed Lot 9A is to be demolished as part of the plan. The entirety of the existing sanitary sewer line and associated easement would be located on Lot 9B. A 20-foot private sanitary sewer easement is proposed along the northern side of Lot 9B to provide access to any future dwelling on Lot 9A. Both lots would be compliant with the zoning requirements for the low-density residential district as demonstrated on the table on the screen. For the record, Lot 9B is considered a corner lot pursuant to the zoning code definition, and as such, Lot 9B is required to adhere to the prescribed minimum lot area requirement for corner lots, which it does. Additionally, the lot lines extend into the Elm Grove Drive right-of-way, and the front lot line runs through the middle of said right-of-way. This is how the original subdivision plan was recorded, and the new lot line separating Lot 9A and Lot 9B is consistent with this practice. The front building line is measured from the right-of-way line, but the area of the property within the right-of-way is included in the total area calculation. As referenced earlier, the creation of Lot 9A would result in the existing accessory shed being located on the lot prior to the construction of a principal structure. This would cause Lot 9A to be a nonconformity. Because of this, the shed is proposed to be demolished. Said demolition shall occur prior to the recording of the final plan, as mentioned in the condition I will outline in a bit. As can be seen on the plan, the existing concrete patio is present within the side yard setback of Lot 9B. Patios are not considered structures and are permitted within setbacks. However, if a roof is ever constructed on the patio, it would incorporate it into the principal structure and cause an encroachment on the setback. As such, a variance would need to be obtained from the zoning hearing board prior to any building permit approval for such a structure. This has been noted on the plan to memorialize this requirement. Per the Subdivision and Land Development Ordinance, a final plat requires house numbers, which are assigned by the township. Planning staff has determined Lot 9A should be addressed 126 Elm Grove Drive, and will be requesting it be shown on the final plan. Finally, the Sanitary Authority Board approved a variance to allow Lot 9A to obtain service via an extended lateral through the proposed private sanitary sewer easement. They have also accepted the proposed flows and have stated they have no issues with the plan as presented. Planning staff recommends the Planning Commission recommend that the Altman Subdivision Plan Number 1 be approved, subject to the following conditions. The existing shed on proposed Lot 9A be demolished prior to the final plan being recorded. A revised plan be submitted showing setbacks from the right-of-way line instead of the property line prior to being placed on the agenda for consideration by council. And a revised plan be submitted showing an address of 126 Elm Grove Drive for Lot 9A prior to being placed on the agenda for consideration by council. And there is a diagram of the plan.
Could you highlight the easement for the sanitary? My eyes are failing me. Oh, there it is. Got it.
It's the green one.
Yeah. That wasn't big enough. All right. Fair enough.
So Jim, is there a proposal to put a house on where the shed is now?
I believe that is the intent.
Now, would that be subject to a traffic impact fee?
I don't believe so, because that lot is, I can say it isn't subject to it, because that lot is one of the exceptions to the districts, because that subdivision has already been laid out. It just so
Gotcha.
happens this lot's big enough that you can kind of split in two.
Okay.
Question? I'm sorry.
Just a general question. When you have a patio that doesn't have a roof, if you just put piping over to accept an awning, is that considered a roof or not yet?
I'd have to, we actually recently had a hearing at the zoning hearing board about something similar. I'd have to double check what the zoning code says, but I don't believe so.
From a process perspective, does the plan of recording is by the applicant, correct?
Yes.
So would that be demolished prior to the township releasing that recording plan?
We won't, we have our own signature blocks. We wouldn't sign those until we have verification that the shed's been demolished.
Understood. Okay.
Any more questions?
Okay.
Any questions or comments from the audience? Hearing none, can I hear some action on this motion or on this agenda?
Yeah, I'll make a motion. The planning commission recommend the Altman subdivision plan number 1, subject to staff's 3 comments.
A motion made and seconded. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
New business B, recommendation to the Simmons subdivision on Just About Road. Jim?
All right. On September 21st, 2023, Township staff received a subdivision I'm so sorry, I started reading the last one. On September 22nd, 2023, Township staff received a subdivision application from David Simmons for the Simmons subdivision located along Just About Road. For the record, the owners of the smaller parcel are known as Earl W. Jr. and Dolores R. Simmons on the plan. Both are deceased, and David Simmons has provided documentation showing he is the executor of their estate. Both parcels are oddly shaped tracts of land that partially encircle the Tuscany developments to their south. Just About Road is situated to the south of the property and these developments. The larger parcel is owned by Robert and Scott Simmons and hosts Simmons Farm, which has operated on the parcel since the early 1940s. The smaller parcel abuts the larger at a shared lot line along the northeastern side of the parcel. The area where they connect separates the Tuscany and Colony Manor developments. The larger parcel is accessed via Simmons Drive to the north, but has frontage along Just About Road to the south. Smaller is a flag lot, which has access to Just About Road via a 50-foot corridor, approximately 425 feet long, to the southeast of the bulk of the property. The applicant proposes to shift the existing lot line onto the existing smaller parcel, leaving approximately 11 acres as parcel A2. The remaining approximately 22 acres will be conveyed to the larger parcel, now known as parcel A1. Parcel A1 will be approximately 112 acres in size. No structures are proposed to be constructed or demolished as part of the plan. No easements or public improvements are proposed either. Both lots will be compliant with the zoning requirements for the low-density residential district, as demonstrated in the table on the screen. It should be noted that parcel A2 is a flag lot and complies with all special regulations governing such lots as laid out in the zoning ordinance. The Pierce Township Sanitary Authority has indicated no new sewage facilities planning is required for the plan. However, they have indicated that sanitary sewers are accessible from parcel A2. Because of this, any future dwelling on parcel A2 shall connect into the PTSA system. PTSA has also determined this will require a public sewer extension and will likely require additional easements. As of tonight's meeting, PTSA has not finalized the requirements for the plan. Once this has been done, they will be communicated to the applicant in advance of final approval. It should be noted that Robert and Scott Simmons do not have status as applicants. Additionally, Robert Simmons has indicated his disapproval of the plan and has stated he does not intend to sign the final plan for recording. The applicant has informed Township staff there is a pending agreement between all parties to move forward with the proposed plan, but the matter may not be concluded until after the new year. Additionally, the Township solicitor has expressed concerns regarding the status of David Simmons as the applicant, given that the property is still in the name of Earl and Dolores Simmons. A letter from the Township Solicitor outlining his review of these outstanding legal matters and his opinion has been provided. Due to these matters, there are 3 additional conditions staff is recommending beyond what was provided in the staff memo. As such, planning staff recommends the Planning Commission recommend that the Simmons subdivision be approved subject to the following conditions. A revised plan be submitted reflecting any and all PTSA requirements prior to being placed on the agenda for consideration by council. A revised plan be submitted showing the correct certificates, affidavits, or approvals pursuant to Appendix B of the Subdivision and Land Development Ordinance prior to being placed on the agenda for consideration by council. And the additional conditions are as follows. The applicant provides sufficient proof of property interest to the satisfaction of township staff prior to the item being placed on the agenda for consideration by council. A signed agreement be provided indicating all property owners' intention to sign the final plat to township staff prior to the item being placed on the agenda for consideration by council. And the applicant agree in writing to an extension of time for consideration of the application until January 31st, 2024.
So what Mr. Smith is saying in his letter is that, and based upon my discussions with him, that the subdivision as proposed meets the requirements of the ordinance. Where Mr. Smith has a concern is that all of the parties who own property affected by this subdivision are not part of the application. And he believes that in addition to David Simmons, who is the executor of the estate and represent the ownership interest of the parcel that's shown on the top of that screen, you also need to have Bob and Scott Simmons, who own the large parcel to which this is going to be adjoined, need to be also applicants to the subdivision. Now, having talked to David and having talked to Bob, my understanding is that there's an agreement in place, and the validity of that agreement is going to be determined early in January. So what Jim has indicated here is, in fact, I think what the solicitor is recommending, that the recommendation from the Planning Commission to council be to approve the plan if, in fact, you can remedy the application so that all of the property owners are afforded the opportunity to be an applicant.
Okay.
And that's listed as part of your 5, those initial 3. Okay.
I said it in maybe longer words, but that's more relevant.
So as long as it's qualified.
I've never been accused of being eloquent.
All right, we'll start this. We're focusing on the plan.
We are focusing on the plan outside of letter from,
Well, I think the letter is addressing those 3 items that not showing there, but the additional staff recommendations. Now, do we need, I believe I noted, was it your number 5 that requests from the applicant?
I have it
the
right
extension?
here. I have it right here.
They grant the extension.
Should you guys recommend approval, I'll have them sign it before they leave tonight.
Okay, great.
And the Simmons, David Simmons is here.
Okay.
Maybe we could have David Simmons up, if you don't mind. If maybe we have some questions for you. Yeah, come on up. There might be a place for you to sign your name and put your address there.
Conditions are at the bottom.
And you're the executor of apparently the estate.
Yes, sir.
And want to just give us a little background on what's going on and what you're trying to accomplish?
Yeah, my dad died on June 9th, 2022, and he left this parcel right here, 30 acres, to myself, my older brother Scott, and my younger brother Bob. And my idea was to divide off a parcel like this. I didn't want to force my brothers to sell that whole parcel because I want them to continue farming here in Peters. I farmed with them for 43 years and I left over a pretty big family disagreement. So in order to keep them from having to buy it out from me, the yellow portion, I suggested we just draw a line across there. We agreed upon it. We all signed a contract that that's roughly the way it would be done. And that way, in farming, you're land rich and cash poor. So that was my solution to it. The only other way that I can see to settle it is to sell that whole parcel, which I really don't want to do. But Bob does not agree with signing for this line to go away right here.
And my question to you is, the item that says current boundary, it looks like there was some additional, a little piece of land.
Yes.
Is that
This,
part of your ownership, or are you going to?
this goes with what the estate owns.
Oh, okay. And what about down at the bottom? There's a boundary line. Do you know anything about that boundary line
This
and
here?
why that's there?
Yeah.
I don't know.
My name's David Housley with Larchman CE Group.
Come on up.
I'm a licensed surveyor.
Okay.
So this line right here, this is essentially a deed line. These two parcels at Washington County have been consolidated for tax purposes. I worked with Jim and we decided to show that as the deed line. There is frontage up on Simmons and there's frontage on just about here. But because it was clear in relation to the tax map, that's why we added this parcel towards the end. This parcel here, I don't know how exactly it happened, I was involved with it, but that is a remnant parcel from Tuscany.
Okay.
There was some kind of a swap that happened. I think somebody mentioned it was for the pond. And then this triangle piece here, there's another deed line there as well. Larry Elliott did this subdivision, I don't know how many years ago. There was a similar situation where that parcel was also deeded at that time to Earl Simmons. So that's kind of a little background on the property.
And the only thing that I might disagree with, and it has no impact on this, is it isn't clear that there is access to a public road at Simmons. I have no idea where Simmons Road actually ends, and that's of no consequence because this subdivision, as it's shown, would have frontage on Just About Road.
Okay.
My only thing about this is, I mean, and I recognize they applied and everything, but it seems like they're premature here. Like they're having, if I'm hearing correctly, there's a dispute among the family members. They bring it to us. We go through all this diligence, and they frankly don't have their act together to have the paper signed to come to us. So why don't they get everything worked out and then come back to us? I mean, it seems like we're pushing this ahead.
Well, I was going to say, one way or the other, they have a right to a decision within 90 days. And so
even if both parties don't agree to it.
Yeah, well, they have a right to a decision. If both parties don't agree to it and there's not an extension of time at the next council meeting, this will be on the agenda and it will be rejected. I don't know that there's anything to be gained by doing that because come January, a decision with regard to this will be clear and council will be in a position at the second meeting in January to either move forward with it or reject it.
Okay.
So I don't think there's any advantage by recommending to council that it be rejected. I think all it does is stretch out the period of time it takes to resolve the issues associated with the estate. So,
Is it a valid application, though? I'm reading, the letter from our attorney, and I'm looking at it. There's a strong recommendation there. So, I'm trying to understand how this commission.
But if
why
you
we go against that.
if you read the very end of it, the applicant has the ability to cure the facial deficiencies prior to the time the council takes up this request for the subdivision. It should provide sufficient proof to council of its defined property interest. So in discussing this with John, John would agree with you that the application is deficient, but he's of the opinion, and I would agree with him, that it's easily cured by simply having the property owners of both properties be able to demonstrate that they want to move ahead with this.
And when would this go to council?
January 22nd, I believe.
But the 90-day clock is running, and so for us to be able to consider it in that time period, there has to be an extension of time granted by David. If that doesn't occur, it's going on the next council meeting, in which case I don't think they're going to be able to resolve the property interest there,
okay.
and it would be rejected by council.
Can I make a comment to that?
Sure, sure.
Yeah,
Yes,
come on
this
up.
is-
Speaking from
Come on up to the
professional
microphone.
opinion,
Yeah, go ahead.
professional opinion, I'm not an attorney, but even if you were to give conditional approval and there is no decision on having somebody sign the plan, basically the other owners, the other brothers, your condition's void because the condition hasn't been met. The township's not going to sign it.
Yeah, but it's even more. All the planning commission is doing is making a recommendation to
Right.
council. They're not approving anything. So
Right.
if it gets to council and it hasn't been resolved, the subdivision will be rejected.
Okay, thank you. Are there any comments or questions from the audience?
I just want to note that I'm John Corcoran.
Come on up, John.
I'm the lawyer for the Simmons Town.
Okay, please write your name down.
Sure.
And you can,
Just a note for the record that there's a hearing that's scheduled on this issue. They had a signed agreement for the court to address it on January 4th of 2024. So we're going to know then if it's going to go forward or what's going to happen at that point in time. So I understand the issue, but for the reason my clients move forward here, the estate move forward on this process, is to see, is this even workable? You know, could it work? So it's obviously a workable subdivision plan. So that's going to be the condition. So we're going to know, soon after the 4th what's going to occur, just so the board knows that.
also be busy when I said earlier, let's look at the plan.
Yeah.
And, decide the merits of the plan. What do you think, Rocco? Just see if there's any problems there.
I think from a planning perspective, it's fairly straightforward. I've not yet identified if there's anything by recommending approval rather, that we're walking ourselves into anything. I just can't think of anything that would be negative. I agree with Commissioner Mills that this is a bit premature, but it seems like it would be straightforward if we don't get a signed agreement, if council doesn't. So.
Because it's only a recommendation.
I'm not an attorney, so I'm having some struggles.
My whole thing is, though, I'm not sure why we as a township, on a subdivision plan where you have both parties, and one party's telling you no, the other party's saying wait until the judge rules in January, why they just didn't wait till January to come for us.
Well, here's where I think the problem is,
Yeah.
I've got involved in this late.
Okay.
The fact of the matter is that when the application came in, it should have been an application filed by multiple parties.
Yeah.
But the problem is that from the township's perspective at this point, we have accepted this application. We have scheduled it for consideration by the planning commission, and so there needs to be action taken on
Gotcha.
it so it isn't deemed approved.
Okay.
One of the things that Jim and I have talked about is that going forward, because these have come to you before, but there's never been this issue where you have one party who is the principal, who's pursuing a subdivision, and there is some benefit for another party, but that party we have understood to be acquiescent to that, but we've never asked them to be a party to the application. Going forward, you will never see a subdivision come to you where all the parties aren't listed as applicants, because you can't do that.
We just had a plan, the Parati Ulrey. I never spoke with the Ulreys. The Paratis did everything.
Okay.
So it was kind of like that, and I approached it like that because that's been our past practice, where oftentimes just one party took the lead on things.
Yeah. Well, I understand Paul's logic now.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
I don't have any more questions.
I do not either.
But you're good.
No, I'm good.
You want to make the motion?
I got it. With that, I'd like to make a motion that the Planning Commission recommend approval of the final subdivision plan for the David Simmons Just About Road property in accordance with staff memo of November 3rd, 2023, in those two conditions.
Three,
excuse me.
Three additional.
Three.
We have a motion made.
Second?
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed unanimously. Anything else for the Planning Commission at this time?
Just some quick updates. The Waterdam Galley multifamily apartments down on Waterdam and Galley, you will be seeing dirt moving if you haven't already. They received the grading permit earlier this week, and they are gung-ho moving forward with that, so we'll keep an eye out. You'll see activity there. The Camden Village, which received site plan approval, I believe, back in April or May, they've also begun grading activities there, so that's moving along as well. We have one subdivision application so far for the December meeting. I still need to review that to determine if it's even ready to be filed, but I would anticipate us meeting in December for at least that. Okay. And we have a personnel update in the planning department. We have a new planning director who will be starting on November 27th. His name is Mark Holdren. He is coming to us from the private sector. I don't know why he's leaving the private sector, but he has a multitude, many years of experience working in kind of the center of the state as kind of a senior planner out in Center County. He spent the last few years in the private sector for a landscape architecture firm. He has a lot of experience in all planning, zoning matters. I think he's going to be a great addition to the township. I'm really excited for him to come here, and not just so that I don't have to do everything anymore. So I would anticipate him being at the next meeting.
Great.
And that is all.
Thank you.
Anything, Jeff?
No.
Meeting adjourned.